Good, man. Yeah, nice to meet you. So I've seen you a lot of times over the years. My first time was seeing you at the Custard Factory in Birmingham.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Really?
With Caressa.
No kidding.
Remember that? That was
I do remember
a long
that.
time ago.
Wow.
And then I've seen you at festivals. The last time I saw you in Montreal was at the Corona Theatre with Deaf Heaven.
Right.
Which is like 1,000 capacity place.
It is, yes.
Here we are at Bar the Ritz. This is a 300 capacity place.
Yeah.
It's not like your popularity has waned. So tell us why we're here.
Well, we're this is actually the second to last show of the tour that we're currently on. This tour that we're currently on is the second leg of a two-part tour that we're about to conclude. And the idea was to take a different type of show out on the road, you know. The idea was to put some of the... It was just a sort of like get back in touch with our fans, you know, after 2 years out of work, you know, in our miserable little homes and our little holes, trying to make sense of what it was to be a musician through that pandemic. I think we wanted to take the opportunity as we were coming back out into the world to try something a little bit different. And I would say that prior to this tour, we've probably been talking about doing the Evening With tour for about 10 years.
Okay.
And the timing never really lined up. And it just never really happens as it goes. So when we initially started coming up with this tour, the idea was put out there that we could find, this was probably a great time to try finally going out and doing the Evening With tour. Meaning no openers, and we would play a lengthier set than typical. The twist on this one being that for each person that buys a ticket to the show, we send out a link that gives you a complete list of every recorded song that we've ever played, and you're meant to vote. You're meant to vote on 10 songs out of that list. And then, so each night of this tour, in each city, we're playing the top 10 most voted for songs. And we're doing a 3-part set. So that's set A. Set A is the Your Baroness, like, tour voting results tour portion of the set. Then Gina and I do a couple tunes, acoustic. And then we finish out the set with kind of a blend of songs that we want to be playing because we still haven't gotten an adequate opportunity to promote Golden Grey, our last record, and some of the songs that we learned while going through this huge back catalog we have of 70, 80 songs. We reinvigorated ourselves with some of our earlier songs, or just straight up for the first time in many, many years learned a handful of these songs, or a lot of these songs, and we just enjoy playing them now. So the tour is kind of complex in that way, but the idea being that we can invite our fans and our audience in for the first time in a couple of years, and really make the show something special for us on stage, because we're in smaller venues. And we're playing to much smaller crowds, so we're getting the kind of intimate experience that we used to get when we were a young band.
When I first saw you.
Right, exactly. When you first saw us, and that was that's something that I don't think you lose your love for that as your band grows and as the venue sizes get larger. I never really lost my excitement for playing these closer. More visceral kind of intimate shows. So this was just kind of a cool opportunity to do that, promote a record, also kind of dip our feet into the new water that's out there and see what touring is like now. But primarily we just thought it would be a cool way to re-engage with everybody and get back into playing music in the spirit and in the way that was first so powerful for us as young musicians.
Yeah.
And it really has been a blast. I mean, like, absolutely, it's it's so fun to take these venues that are, I guess you could make the argument that they're too small for us in 2022 to do, a typical show, but we take them and we make use of the space, and we try to make each room we try to make it a really important and special evening for the audience. And we found that just due to the nature and the concept of the way this tour is, obviously everybody that's coming in is I guess you'd say like a deeper level Baroness fan than perhaps average. So we're allowed to do some things that we've always loved doing as performers and musicians on stage, but which sometimes the typical festival circuit or your support headliner tours don't allow you to do, like stretch out and move the songs in different ways on different nights. Our set lists are different every night. We're playing. Technically we can play any song that we've written in any lineup on any record, and so what we're doing is we're introducing a little bit more improvisation into the set. We take some of our songs and we'll play them in different ways, just because we want to.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be that same kind of burden on your shoulders on this tour where you have to play the hits and show the people put your best foot forward. I've never really I've always hated that. That's never been the way I've wanted to tour ever. So this is like a much grander statement that if a band like us, and then there are many bands like us, but if a band like us has the time and is willing to put forth sort of the effort to make it compelling, I think we can do something really special with 2.5 hours, which we would be unable to do in an hour, which we are completely shackled from doing at 30 minutes, which is a typical festival set is as close as I get to having to play the shorter, more potent, impactful, kind of up-tempo songs. But we've noticed that in giving our audience the right to choose and generate some of the set lists, they don't just choose the quick super catchy ones. They choose a lot. We've noticed a lot of the sort of more longer songs, sort of the ballads, slower numbers, and more introspective things are just as present in those lists as anything else.
Okay. So you mentioned that the set list changes every night, but surely there's some consistencies.
Well, yes, there are consistencies. First of which is the fact that the voted for set lists are fairly similar. There are most definitely some songs of ours that are guaranteed. If you poll 100, 200, 300 people, that you're going to get some songs that are always going to be common to our fans. Songs like March to the Sea, songs like Take My Bones Away, songs like Chlorine and Wine, and those are the songs that when we released those records, we pushed those songs as either singles or videos, or they were kind of they were the kind of featured songs on those records. And therefore they end up the featured songs on Spotify, and therefore they end up the easiest ones to find on YouTube, and everything like that. But I am not content to be a band that just caters to that. I don't think, and I assume that our fans aren't terribly interested in just seeing us do something like that.
Because they've probably heard those
if you've seen us play,
already.
Yeah, if you've ever seen us play live, you've seen us play Isaac. You've seen us play March to the Sea. They're in almost every set that we've ever played. But that's not to say that we don't believe in the vast majority and bulk of our back catalog as well. We've always made strides and taken efforts to present full albums to listeners, and albums which, while there certainly are embellishments and bells and whistles and sort of occasionally superfluous and artificial things on the records, just kind of ear candy. I think one thing that's always been important to us as a band is to consider those details and to think that the song is something bigger than the song can be part of something bigger than just the song itself. Yeah. So if we are given a feature full-length film's worth of time to perform in front of our fans, we want to make that experience as cinematic and overwhelming and potentially bolder and grander than our records are, even, because now we have, 60 or 70 songs to blend together and to create, a kind of experience with. And I've really, I think for me, yes, there are definitely some anchor points in the set that keep things moving along. We certainly do that. I think everybody does. But it's been interesting, and it's been really invigorating to have less stable set lists, meaning we have so many, we play 20 to 25, 30 songs a night. So the sequencing's really become kind of interesting, because I've seen long shows before. I've seen short shows. I don't want to be exhausted. What we want to do is we want to play as much music as possible for people, but we don't want to exhaust them. So now in our set list, it's important that there's a little bit of quiet with the loud. It's important that there are more relaxed beats to complement the more up-tempo beats. And musically speaking, we play with the dynamics in a set like this to keep things interesting for people, because it's a lot of time that they're giving to us.
So what's been the surprising element of seeing the set list that fans have chosen?
The surprising thing is that the songs we call certain songs in every record ballads. They're the sort of more like heartfelt, slower, darker type of songs. Those are almost entirely what we're seeing requests for night after night. Right. So it's important for us to and really, those are songs that I enjoy playing, because they each have they each require such a delicate touch, and they're about moments in life that are very, very powerful, very important moments to me. So I really appreciate the opportunity that our fans are giving us to play such a dynamic range of music. And I think one of the coolest things is it really forced us to become better players, because we have to go from absolute 100% everything you got, and then you have to reel it in and sing some extremely gentle, very quiet, very meticulous kind of acoustic ballad. It's been a fun challenge for us as performers, because the workload is so heavy that we really have to stay fit with our songs throughout the length of this tour. And this is we're at the end of the fourth or fifth week. Yeah,
and some of the people in your band probably have never played some of these songs before, right?
That's right. And so as the lineup has become the stable lineup that is now with Gina and Nick and Sebastian, we've been, over time, even over the past few years, we've been working backwards towards our earlier material and learning that. And sometimes the difficult thing is that certain songs from that era at first seem like they're very dependent on the musicians of that era.
Okay.
For instance, Alan Blickley, our original drummer, he had a very particular style, and he had a very particular sort of feel to the way that he played. And Seb, equally particular in his touch and his feel as a drummer. And so sometimes they're absolutely similar. Sometimes their styles diverge in such a way that like a song off of our first record, Red, wouldn't come entirely naturally to Seb at our when we would first try to learn it. So we kind of go, okay, maybe we don't need to put effort into that. Let's this is in the past, and let's move on to something so that it works a little bit easier. But in preparing for this tour, we had to get proficient in those songs. And what we learned was, it seems obvious now, but if you put work in, we've had to figure out how to grow these songs up. They've had to go from songs that were written in the early 2000s and played by a younger version of the band to who we are now with the lineup that we have now. And we don't try to make them the same song they were back then. We try to make them something that they are now, but keep the spirit alive. So if it's aggressive and it's brutal and it's raw, we have to figure out our swagger and our kind of feel with it now. And that's been really awesome, because of course you put in the effort, and eventually we found some new life in a lot of these songs, which is great for me having been through, you know, so many lineups and thinking that some of my favorite old songs were sort of out of rotation long enough that they wouldn't make it back in. So it's just really cool for me personally in the band, but I think our fans are eating it up. You know, it's great. It's been great.
And for you personally, you know, your lyrical content is very emotional a lot of the time, and
maybe all the time.
Well, pretty much all the time. But how is it revisiting some of those older songs that you haven't played for a while, and with the emotional context to it?
Well, you just have to, you know, it's not easy, but neither is it easy to get back into the technical aspects of it. So I as I said before, the challenge of preparing for this tour has been a rewarding one, because I've had to face those songs again, you know, and so I have to live those moments out night by night on stage without letting that and let that kind of energy or that nostalgia that comes back, and not let that become a negative thing, you know, not let the you know, the sort of the meaning overshadow the energy that it can generate in a positive way. So I've always thought that these songs, from my standpoint, are vehicles for me to sort of work through these, you know, these moments or experiences in my life. You know, these realities, some of which have changed, some of which have stayed unbearably consistent, you know, and well, you know, there's all sorts of ways of looking at that, but the songs, those older songs, still help me in the same way. So I've learned, I think I've been careful about approaching them, but finding new life in them, and also finding new ways to use those songs, you know, as a songwriter who uses music as, you know, self-therapy. It's been nice. It's been intense and interesting and extreme at moments, but I think it's been a very rewarding experience, and the kind of net result or the, you know, the thing that I've gleaned most from doing this tour and playing all of those old songs and reliving those moments, but in new ways, and, you know, seeing our newer fans respond to the songs that I'm sure we've never played for them before. It's been overwhelming and positive for me, and it's taught me that, you know, there are the motivations that I had, the things that drove me to create that music, all those years ago, is still a powerful creative tool, and a powerful tool of expression in 2022. You know, even though I've moved past a lot of those songs, it's been good to get back in there and to know them again, you know, because I have a very personal relationship, as you can imagine, with some of those older songs.
Yeah, well, this is your life. It's not just songs.
Exactly. So, in a way, I think it's a beautiful thing, because I'm able to combine so many of these moments of my life into one performance, and in that performance, you know, it's a bit of a it's a roller coaster ride for everybody involved, but just to go through all those things and get out the other end, there's always, you know, I think we're always smiling through our set. We're always, you know, at the end of the set, we always feel like it's just an achievement. I mean, I don't say this lightly. It's a kind of an achievement to get from one side to the other, and to be able to do it the next day. It's a physical performance. It's an emotional performance. It's a mental performance. There's all this technical stuff. There's all this, you know, there's so many moving pieces. It's a very grand project to put in front of 200 or 300 people a night. You know, It's wild, but it's been exhilarating.